great thing about generative AI tools is that it's going to save people a lot of time. Can go in and, ask for different things. It can generate lesson plans for you, differentiated lesson plans for you.
Welcome to the Teacher RockStar podcast, the podcast that's dedicated to providing valuable insights, practical tips, and proven strategies to equip new teachers for success. I'm your host, Steve Hiles, retired educator, published author, and instructional coach. Join me in each episode as we offer a supportive platform for navigating the challenges of the teaching profession. In today's episode, we're going to be discussing how generative AI tools assist with lesson planning with our guest, Ashlee Russell. But before we get into today's topic, I'd like to take a moment to share a little bit about today's special guest. Ashlee is an AI enthusiast with a rich background in K-12 education. She has served in elementary and secondary settings as a teacher, both regular and special ed, as well as an instructional coach and a district-wide professional development teacher. In 2016, she was the Cumberland County Schools District Teacher of the Year and candidate for North Carolina Teacher of the Year. She also has her own professional development company, and in 2023, her company was contracted by Pearson VUE to lead, design, and deliver the AI and data literacy curriculum to the first AI integrated unit in the United States Army. Her husband, David, and two children, Harper and Levi, are her why, and she loves spending time with them, camping at the beach, or doing anything in nature. Welcome to the Teacher RockStar podcast. I'm your host, Steve Hiles. And in today's episode, we're going to be discussing how generative AI tools assist with lesson planning with our guest, Ashlee Russell. Ashlee currently serves as founder at AI Learning Central. Okay, good morning, Ashlee.
Good morning, Steve. How are you?
Okay, doing well, doing
Good.
well. Well, I got a ton of things I want to talk to you about. But first, if you would you like to share with our audience your love for AI, when it manifested itself?
Sure, absolutely. So I've been an educator for over 15 years now and served in a lot of different roles. I was a teacher, instructional coach, professional development lead for our district. And about a year ago, so June of 2023, I decided to branch out and open up my own professional development company because that's a passion of mine. And I ended up I landed the contract with Pearson VUE, who has the DoD contract, the Department of Defense, and designed and delivered the AI curriculum and data literacy curriculum for the 18th Airborne Corps at Fort Liberty. And so that was new for me. I mean, I'd worked with technology as an educator, had a passion for using it in my teaching, but AI, with the recent emergence of generative AI, all that was pretty new to me. But I worked with a team of subject matter experts, data scientists, AI application creators in the Army, and they trained me up, taught me well. I learned a lot working with them, but from their expertise, I then created the courses that we use to deliver the curriculum to make sure that all of the soldiers have the background knowledge to be able to interact with and be the most effective as an end user of AI. So, pretty basic AI literacy, ethics and things like that. So when in North Carolina, back in January, our generative AI guidance came out from the state. And Vera Cubero has been the lead on that. And at that point, I got really excited because I knew it was going to be coming into K-12 education. That's where my heart is. Yeah. Really enjoyed, and I'm continuing to work with the Army right now, but really enjoyed that. But I'm excited to also take that knowledge and be able to transfer it into K-12 and college settings. So
that is just totally fantastic. All right. Thank you so much for sharing that.
Of course.
I have to ask you, how can generative AI tools be leveraged to create customized and differentiated lesson plans that cater to the diverse learning needs of our students?
So that's a big question, right? That's
Mhm.
something that's one of the biggest challenges, being an educator is all the behind the scenes work that we do
Yeah,
before the teaching even starts, right? So,
absolutely.
the great thing about generative AI tools is that it's going to save people a lot of time. You can go in and, ask for different things. It can generate lesson plans for you, differentiated lesson plans for you. All of that's pretty obvious, at this
Mhm.
point. But with that being said, I think it's really important, just a disclaimer, it's really important, teachers getting into using generative AI, that they, take the time to gain some AI literacy, whether it's by taking a course or going on YouTube, and looking up videos. AI literacy is really important, because it's important to know that, the tools that we're using, they're not fact generators. They're not 100% accurate all the
Yeah.
time. Um, but you as a teacher, you have the background knowledge. Whenever you take the information from the generative AI, what's going to work, and it's going to save you a lot of time.
Mhm.
So there's a lot of applications being designed. There's Magic School AI, Conmigo, a lot of them being designed specifically for K-12. Um, and so those are a good place to start. Also, just Chat GPT. If you're just trying to get your feet wet, go into Chat GPT, practice some prompts.
Mhm.
Um, I like to use the prompt engineering to PPP, polish, prompt, and prime. I'm sorry, prime, prompt, and polish. I said that backwards. So you're going to prime it, let it know what you're going to be teaching,
Mhm.
um, that you can even tell it, be an educator, pretend you are a third grade teacher,
Yeah.
give it the role, tell it what you need, and then get the output, and then go back and polish it up for exactly what you're looking for. That's the biggest part, is prompting. And then you'll get a lesson plan back. It could be differentiated for what you need. Obviously, you want to keep privacy concerns. You don't want to put in any private information. I think that goes
Yeah.
without saying, but I have to say that. Um, and you can ask it to create small group activities for you. You can copy and paste the standard into the chatbot. There's so many avenues there with that. And I would say the biggest thing is just getting on these applications, practicing, learning,
Mhm.
getting on YouTube. And the more you do it, the better you're going to get at it, and get those results and get those lesson plans that you're.
Absolutely, because we know that AI is not going anywhere, is it? It's
Right.
here with it's here to stay
Exactly.
with us, and it'll probably, as the years go
Exactly.
on, get much more sophisticated as time goes on, I'm sure. And
Absolutely.
and actually, I have to ask you now: in what ways do generative AI tools enhance the creativity and innovation of lesson plans?
So I think that I want to say up front that I think ultimately, the human teacher, I think, is the
Hmm.
most important aspect, when it comes to creativity and things like that. Um, I think human connection is the most important part of
Yeah.
learning. When we
Hmm.
look at Maslow's hierarchy of needs,
And these, yeah, yeah.
that's ultimate. Um, but when a teacher can use a tool to take care of the minutia, so to speak, the things that just take up a lot of our time.
Hmm.
It can really free up that space, free up that cognitive load in your mind, where you're going to have a lot more space and a lot more time to think creatively. When you have that springboard, whatever the
Yeah,
generative AI comes out with, you're not going to 9 times out of 10, you're not gonna take that exact lesson plan and use it in your class. You have your own
right.
judgment.
But yeah,
You know your kids, but, it's gonna free up that time and space for you. And when you have
absolutely.
more, and that's teachers just don't have. If I could have the time, I used to say this all the time whenever I was
Oh,
in the classroom full time. If I could have the time to do all the things I wanna do, what I could do with these kids. But we know all the responsibilities that come with being in the classroom.
hmm,
So when you can use a chat tool or AI, generative AI, as a teammate, It's not going to
Mm-hmm.
be an end all be all
Right, right.
grader for everything, but as a teammate, wow, you're going to have a lot of time to get more creative, and you can have it generate ideas for you and then springboard back and forth. And then that helps your ideas escalate too into something that you could have maybe never imagined on your own.
Absolutely, because it seems like every year, more gets put on teachers. And the funny thing is, nothing ever gets taken away. So I think,
Mhm.
what you said there, your point about, using, AI as like a teammate, I think that's just wonderful. Are you a teacher who finds yourself drowning in the challenges of classroom management? Do student behaviors leave you feeling overwhelmed and drained at the end of each day? Picture this: a classroom where your students are not just present, but fully engaged, focused, and eager to learn. Say goodbye to classroom management stress and hello to success. The Teacher RockStar Academy course is meticulously designed to equip you with the tools and strategies needed to skyrocket your effectiveness as a teacher. Curious to know if the Teacher RockStar Academy course is the missing piece in your teaching journey? If you're ready to reclaim control of your classroom and witness the incredible impact on your students, then use the link in the podcast description to learn more about this program. Now, how can these tools, how would you integrate them, with lesson planning, the lesson planning process, and improve efficiency and time management for educators? That's a biggie. We just, yeah.
That is definitely a biggie. So I would say, we have a lot of teachers now. I actually work part time in a middle school. I go in and serve special ed part time,
Hmm.
along with my other work, just because I just enjoy working with I love being in a school. I love the
Yeah.
kids. It's just something I don't know if I'll ever be able to completely step away from that. But we have a lot of lateral entry teachers. So we have a lot of teachers coming in that didn't go to school for teaching,
Oh, yeah.
but then they're coming in and taking on positions, and they're great. I mean, most of them are just their life experience that they bring is super beneficial. But they don't have a lot of the content background for some of the things that they're asked
Hmm.
to teach, or the science of learning background, neuroscience and how kids remember things and things like that. So they spend a lot of time researching,
Hmm.
their content and how can I teach this in the best way. And ChatGPT is going to I say ChatGPT just because that's kind
Yeah.
of the standard, but really any of the AI tools that exist now, that's going to save your time where you're not spending so much time researching the content. You can have it explain the content to you. You can type the standard into the tool, have it break it down for you, give you an outline of explaining what it means, how it works in the real world, and
Hmm.
so on. So I think that is going to save a lot of time. And even if you've been in the classroom, our standards change a lot. And so just being able to collaborate with the AI tool to be able to figure out um, what exactly what the learning outcome would look like,
Yeah.
that saves a lot of time. Coming up with activities. I saw somebody recently, now that the Chat GPT 4.0, it can take pictures and analyze those too. And yes.
That's
um,
amazing.
it is. It's developing really quickly. But I saw where someone took three objects
Hmm.
and asked it to create a game to teach XYZ.
Hmm.
And so let's say we're all limited on our resources, right? So if you know what you have, what can you make out of this to teach such and such standard?
Hmm.
And that saves a ton of time because then you're not
Oh
having
my
to go
gosh.
to the
Yeah.
store to get what you need. You're not having to spend your money either. So
Yeah.
there's the efficiency. So just getting creative with those prompts and allowing it to, be a thought partner with you, um,
Hmm.
is just can save a lot of time and
Well, let me
more efficient educator.
absolutely. Let me ask you this. In your course, your curriculum, do you have like a list of prompts and stuff that you could input to different AI tools? I mean,
I do, yeah.
yeah.
I do, and so With the curriculum at the Army, a lot of that is designed for the Army. But
Hmm.
if you go to aiforeducation.com, there's
Hmm.
a prompt library there. And they have it even broken down into classroom management prompts, special education prompts, um, content prompts. I can't remember exactly how it's broken
Yeah.
down. There's different categories on there, and so that would be a good place to start if someone needs some help with
Yeah.
ideating some prompts. Yeah.
Absolutely. Great. Great. Well, let me ask you this. Now, how do generative AI tools assist in the continuous, assessment and adaptation of lesson plans, based on real-time student performance?
That's a great question. So there are apps being developed that are emerging that do provide that real-time data. One that I think of is Curipod. So that's a really
Hmm.
good one that teachers can use. Curipod, it's spelled Curipod. And it allows you to go in, tell it what you need. It'll create a lesson plan for you, but it has places within the lesson where it polls the class or it asks for input, and then it gives you those analytics in real time. And so
That's
you're able
amazing.
to adjust from that
Yeah.
point forward. And there are others too, but Curipod's been a really good one, and it's designed for K-12. So that'd be a great place for teachers to start. And in the past, Steve, we had to, physically grade our assessments,
Yeah.
break them down by standard, break it down by, what kids got what answers wrong. It's
Hmm.
very time consuming,
Yeah.
and so these apps can just take it, give you the
Yeah.
analytics in a
Yeah.
split second, and then you can
That's
roll with it
amazing.
right then. So,
Absolutely.
yeah. Mhm.
Are you finding out in the schools that you go into and teachers you talk to, are they a little apprehensive about AI?
Some of them are. I did a survey at my school recently just
Mm.
to see what the attitudes were.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it was about 50-50. Some teachers were really excited about it and wanted to learn more about it. Some teachers were just kind of in the middle. And then, the others it has, I will quote, one teacher said, generative AI has no place in my classroom. So
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I bet you it was an older teacher too.
it
Usually
was.
I don't wanna just say it make a blanket statement, but it would seem like to me the younger teachers just coming on board or just for the few years are probably more apt to really buy into this AI thing. I would think. I
So,
would think,
yeah, I
you know.
think so. It's scary, to think about it. It is anytime we look at the future and what,
Yeah,
we don't know
yeah.
where things are going. And I think too, when you've been teaching a long time, we've been around long enough. We've seen the trends come and
Mhm.
go,
Yep, yep.
and so it just seems like another one of those trends. But I really can see it being as revolutionary as when the internet came to
Yeah,
be. I
yeah,
think it's
so
going to
yeah.
change the way we do things. So, yeah.
All
So
righty.
hopefully
Now
they'll catch on eventually.
yeah, yeah. Um But let me see. I was going to ask you. Now, this is one near and dear to me here, and it's what ethical considerations should be taken into account when using generative AI tools for lesson planning. Now, again, particularly regarding the potential for bias in AI tools. So what's your sense on that?
Well, I think first and foremost, we have to be aware of our own biases, right? We have to be
Hmm.
aware of our own, the way we think about things and how our experiences have shaped our ideas about things. And in the past few years, I know in my district, they've done some training and things like that. So I'm glad to see that that's something that we're becoming more aware of.
Yeah.
But, we have to take into account that these tools, they're trained on swaths of data, just big data found on the internet, found from all kinds of different places. And so within that data, it's not necessarily credible data. And that's why, again, it's so important to remember that it's not a fact generator, that we're generating just information. It's retrieving information and able to present it in a new way.
Mhm.
That's what's different from generative AI versus traditional AI.
Yeah.
Traditional AI, like Siri, it just comes out with a programmed answer. It's
Hmm.
already programmed to say that. Whereas generative AI is taking features from the data to create something new. And so we have to consider that that data may hold biases depending on where it
Absolutely.
came from, you know? So just really important to be aware of your own biases so that way you're the most informed and you can look at something and be able to tell, is there a bias here or
Hmm.
not? You know, do further research. One rule that I like to go by is the triangulation method. You know, check at least three sources,
Hmm.
um, credible sources, peer reviewed sources, colleagues that may be experts in whatever it is that you're looking at. That's a good method, the triangulation method. And it's just triangulation because it's 3 points and you want to have 3 points of, you know, research to verify.
Absolutely. Yeah,
So,
because I mean, I've noticed too when I use AI that when it comes to researching data, sometimes it doesn't bring back because I verify it too, and I can't find what
mhm.
they're saying anywhere, on
Right. Yeah.
Edutopia or any site. So yeah,
Mhm.
maybe it'll get better as time goes on and give you
Yes.
actual research answers that can be verifiable.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
but anyway,
I saw the
okay,
other day, something funny, Steve, I want to share.
yeah.
Somebody posted on LinkedIn, and LinkedIn's a good place to go. So teachers, if you haven't made a LinkedIn, that's a good place to see all the up and coming things with AI. But it was talking about somebody asked about eating rocks or something, and it said, yes, doctors recommend that you eat rocks once a day. And it went through this whole thing. And so it can be completely bizarre because it's just pulling from features of the data, you know?
Yeah.
So somehow it put that together and made no sense.
Yeah, that's something else, but I'll tell you.
Yeah.
Uh, at any rate, Ashley, let me ask you this. If you were to just pick one thing to emphasize to new teachers entering the field, and even seasoned ones, because we have those as well. But what is your biggest takeaway you'd like to share with our audience?
The biggest takeaway I would like to share is the reason why I'm passionate about AI is because I'm
Hmm.
passionate about children
Yeah.
and I'm passionate about their future. I have two children of my own. I have a 4-year-old and a 6-year-old, Harper and
All right.
Levi. And so that has my heart. You know, I want these kids to grow up in a world where they have agency,
Hmm.
where they are empowered. And I think generative AI is going to provide a platform for empowerment for kids and for people who may not have the same advantages as others. But it's also going to be limiting in some ways. And so I just really want new teachers to learn as much about it as they can,
Hmm.
use it when and where they can ethically, because it's going to become a part of our world. It's going to be a
Yeah.
part of the kids' world. And so the more that we can use it responsibly and the more that we can speak on it knowledgeably, the more control we can have over where it goes and how it plays in our life in the future. And so, as educators, you know, we're a big part of how our world runs, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
And right now, there's a lot of legislation going through, but I don't see that educators are really a part of the conversation.
Hmm.
And so, the more we learn about it, the more we use it, the more comfortable we become, the more we can be a part of that conversation. And so, new teachers, I don't want to be, you know, throwing too much at you. Just take it one day at a time. Remember what the most important part is, that human connection with children. And if you're doing the best that you can and you're using the tools at your disposal to be the best you can, everything's going to be okay at the end of the day. You got this. I saw that
Yeah.
you're, and
Uh,
it's so true. It's so true. You can do it. Lean on your people, lean on your AI tools, and just give it your best. And that's all.
okay, words of wisdom there. All right. Um, Ashley, how can folks connect with you? What's the best way they want to reach out to you?
So on LinkedIn,
Yeah.
Ashlee Russell, I see it's up there on the screen. So that's exactly
Hmm.
what it looks like on LinkedIn. Please feel free to add me on LinkedIn. I share things often on the new up and comings of AI in education.
Hmm.
Um, and I also have my website, AILearningCentral.com. It's still in the beginning phases, but I plan on adding some resources there too, prompts and things like that. So stay tuned, keep coming
Okay.
back, and reach out to me anytime.
Okay, wonderful. Well, Ashley, I want to thank you so much. I know you're very, very busy, And I really appreciate you taking time to come on the show here today. And I know you provided a ton of value. So I just hope our audience was taking some notes there, So, but at any rate, I'd love to have you back again. We could probably talk about this for hours, but
Yes, absolutely. I would love that.
all right. Well, you have an awesome day, and we'll be in touch. Have a great one, Ashlee, and thanks again.
Sounds
Bye-bye.
great. Thank you,
Bye.
Steve. Bye.
Well, my friend, we have come to the end of today's episode. But before we go, let me ask you a question. Are you ready to reclaim control of your classroom and witness the incredible impact on your students? Then learn more about how the Teacher RockStar Academy course can be of help. Simply go to teacherclassroomresources.com/TRA. I'll put the link in the description so that you can learn more about this program. I want to thank you for listening to the Teacher RockStar podcast. I'm your host, Steve Hiles. We'll see you same time, same place next week. And remember, my friend, you got this.
You've been listening to the Teacher RockStar podcast with your host, Steve Hiles. We hope you've enjoyed this podcast as much as we have. Make sure to hit that subscribe button and join our ever-growing community of Teacher Rockstars. Until then, thanks for listening.